All right, Vicente. So thank you for agreeing to share and talk about your story, brother.
You're
First
welcome.
off, I mean, we've known each other for quite some time, but just in the last 7 weeks, you've put on 20 pounds of muscle.
20 pounds.
You look great, man. I know
Thank
you
you.
said you talked about you feel stronger.
Yep.
But let's, I guess, talk about how you got from point A to point B and what it was like before before we started working together, before we ran the challenge 7 weeks ago, and before you came into the academy and worked one-to-one with me in the last month.
Okay. So because of COVID, I think everybody was stuck at home for so long, and I was not exercising for more than 1 year, but I never really exercised. And I had a lot of anxiety, and I think it was associated with COVID. And I started taking some medications. I don't want to do medications. And I know what helps the anxiety is having a healthier lifestyle. And part of this is working out. But my mind was like, I hate exercising. But then I was talking to my therapist, and she was like, what do you hate more, your anxiety or exercising? So that was like a first switch for me, realizing that my health was affected by me not exercising.
Mm-hmm.
And then right at that time, you posted about the challenge. And I was like, well, that would be a good way to start exercising. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want a challenge that's going to be demanding too much of me. And I was thinking of this fitness challenges where you're like in the gym the whole day, eating a lot of chicken and a lot of sweet potato, things that I actually don't like.
Yeah.
But because the challenge was free, I was like, okay, let's give it a try. And for me, it was amazing that the challenge was about incorporating healthy habits that wouldn't affect my lifestyle that much. So I have a busy lifestyle, going to school every day, and I was able to incorporate these habits in my everyday life without feeling like that was a burden for me, like drinking more water, walking a little bit more, parking the car a little bit further away from the exit and stuff like that. It made a huge difference in my mindset. And little by little, I started incorporating the things that you were telling us in the challenge. And then when I won the challenge, I was like, okay, that's amazing that I really want a fitness challenge. It was like a boost for me to keep pursuing more fitness exercises. And then that's when we started our coaching. And the best part for me of our coaching, well, there's several best parts, but one of the parts that I loved is that we were working out at home. So it wouldn't take that much of my day. Like it was 30-minute workouts, quick workouts, and we tailored them to be 3 times a week only. And in the other days, I was just like trying to be more active, walk around, if I could go for a run or something like this. But actually weight training was only 30 minutes during 3 weeks. And on top of that, you were helping me with food, which was something that I never really worried about because I was always really skinny. I never had to do any diet or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were teaching me about the importance of keeping your body fed with whole foods and not using processed foods or foods with a lot of sugar. And it was interesting because I always had a hard time eating snacks because I'm never hungry. I don't think about it. And then you were able to tell me which snacks to incorporate in my everyday life. And I actually love the snacks that I have to eat, like the yogurts, the granola bars and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Things that I really like. And just by eating healthier, doing the exercise, I was able to gain 20 pounds and get my body to a fitness level that I have never had before. Even when like there was a time in my life that I went to the gym every day. And after 1 year going to the gym, I reached nothing. Like it was on a plateau, nothing improved. And now I believe it's because I was like, my body was lacking food, was lacking rest, lacking a lot of stuff. So that's like how I went from being like completely sedentary to having a lot of a healthier lifestyle and feeling better with my body.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's awesome. And it's funny as I think a lot of people will come into this, especially when they're like, have the goal that you had, wanting to put on muscle, that they have to do a lot in order to do that. Right. And it's like the less is more. It's the optimal, not the most you can handle. Right. And so for that year, when you were training like every day, as you realize now you were overtraining and you weren't, focusing on your recovery at all. And we flipped that on its head and you feel better now. You got your goal. You put on 20 pounds in like 7 weeks, which is a lot of weight to put on, but it's the newbie gains, which is awesome. and you look better for it too. Like before and after, your chest is thicker, more muscular, your shoulders are broader. You got more of a triangle, like that V going with the upper body. And the belly is flattening out quite a bit. So it's
The
it's
funny
awesome to
thing
see.
is, I had a dream. That was the craziest thing for me. I had a dream where I went to the beach and I was shirtless and I was not ashamed. And that was like, for me, like to be dreaming of that is shows how much I changed, because before being shirtless was something that I hated. And now I'm feeling a lot more confident after this period with you. Yep. And
That's
the other thing
fantastic.
about having these exercises, like when I went 1 year every day, it was like a mental burden for me. Like every day I have to go, I have to push myself to do the exercise.
Hmm.
But now having it spread along the week, I know, okay, it's 3 days, I can manage it around and I don't feel that burden. People who hate exercise know what I'm talking about. Like, oh my God, I have to exercise. And I don't feel that. I was like, I was actually excited. Okay, this is the day that I have to exercise. And I knew like the day before I didn't, because it was my rest day. So it was a huge change in my mindset too.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so would you say that the transformation that we just kind of witnessed and worked on together, the first step was the change in the mindset, or did it start somewhere else?
No, definitely the change in the mindset. Um, a little bit triggered by the health issues, but then the change in the mindset with my therapist telling me to exercise to avoid anxiety, but also the change that you incorporate in what exercise means. So now I don't feel like I hate exercise as I did before. So it's not like, oh my God, I have to do it, something I want to do it. So that's different.
Yeah.
That's a
And
change in my mindset.
you told me that, like, I think our first call, like right when the challenge started, you and I talked, and you told me that, in the past you had tried exercising and you told me you hated it because you couldn't get through a
That's it.
workout without feeling
Mhm.
just, you get lightheaded, things like that. It was the wrong workout for you. Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
I would feel like nauseated to a point that once I actually threw up at the gym, and then I'm never coming back to this gym again. And I never felt that in any of our exercises, never. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they are short, or also I didn't have that feeling that I have to push myself the hardest that I can. I felt like I have to push myself to my comfort and my like there was a limit.
Yeah.
So that was also something different for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was going from that all or nothing mindset to, you have to, if you're going to do it, you make it worth your while and try to get as much as you can out of that one workout. Whereas I
Mhm.
told you, like, hey, that actually doesn't really matter. Let's just get you doing consistent workouts, and let's make them
Consistency.
like moderate intensity.
Yeah.
That way we can stimulate your muscles to grow instead of annihilate you and not being able to come to the gym the next day. Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that mindset switch with is just putting that priority. And then I think we had a great opportunity with the challenge that it aligned with some of your time. Like you had a break from work and school for a little while during the
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
challenge. I remember you
mm-hmm.
like, I don't know if I can keep this going after the challenge is over because you started school. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're a dentist and you're in research, and you have a busy schedule. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm super proud of you as your coach to see the last 5 weeks, you've made leaps and bounds in progress, and, sticking with everything that we've kind of built and improving on it during a time when you thought there was no way I could do this and go to school
Exactly.
and all at the same time. So, I mean, what was different when you came into going back to school and everything like that allowed you to be where you're at now?
Um, I think the most important thing for me was the short exercises at home, because I have this feeling once I leave work and I get home that I don't want to leave home again. I'm exhausted from the day. And
Yeah.
the fact that I didn't have to actually go to the gym to work out, I could use the bands that I have, and I could fit 30 minutes anytime I want, like before or after dinner. So that was something that really helped me. But also because as I start working out, I start seeing the results and start feeling more motivated too. So even in days that are like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted, I still wanted to do it anyway to keep my consistency going.
There you
So
go.
that's what
Yeah.
helped me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, even though you're exhausted, you thought, I'm going to do it anyway. And I think we've
Yeah.
talked about that a couple times where you feel better for doing these things. And it's easy when you're tired to think like logically doing it physical activity when you're tired doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
But like anyone who's been tired and then worked out after and did the right workout, an appropriate workout, knows they
You get
feel
a
better
boost.
for it. Yeah, you get a boost,
Exactly.
which is awesome. So
Exactly.
you learned that, you've bought into that now, which is
Mhm.
fantastic. And
Mhm.
then when it comes to, obviously workouts are a big part of this, and the consistency is a huge part of this. And you mentioned that 30-minute workouts, making them short, fit into your life, workout at home, and having them start where you're at, meet you where you're at, instead of trying to push you beyond your limit, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the nutrition aspect, you mentioned snacks and how that was a game changer for you. But
Mhm.
what other things allowed you to put on this much muscle? Do you feel like in this short period of time?
I feel like eating more. You mean like eating more proteins and stuff like this?
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
there
Because like
snacks
if you're
that you
thinking of
recommend?
someone
Yeah,
right now is watching our conversation, they're gonna be like, okay, how do I do this?
yeah. So when I started tracking the food that I was eating, that was a huge change for me because, as I said, as I never worried about food before, I had no idea what calories were, proteins, and fat. I had no idea, even though
Yeah.
I'm the dental field. Sorry. Uh, but then you taught me that for several appointments. Like, I need you to explain this again. And I started realizing, okay, by entering the food that I regularly eat, I'm not eating enough calories a day, but I'm not eating enough of the macros that I should. Like, I'm not even eating enough proteins. I'm eating too much carbs. Um, and then with your tips, I was able to incorporate new foods that were more protein for me. But it's not just like shakes or protein bars, or actually like yogurts that I really like with some cereal or stuff like that. Things like cheeses and stuff like that that were able to incorporate protein. That's not like just a powder shake. You know, like you could
Yeah.
tell, oh, get a powder shake. The powder shake was actually the last suggestion you made. Like for this whole five weeks that we were together, you never even mentioned a powder shake until the last appointment. Like, well, maybe you want to incorporate that as an extra snack if you feel you're running
Yeah.
behind on proteins that day. So that's what I love. Like, I feel like I'm eating healthier and not like eating because I need the proteins or whatever. Like, as I said, I'm not eating just chicken and sweet potatoes, because that's when you see this really fit people, you think they're eating
Yeah.
chicken and sweet potatoes the whole time. And that's not what I'm eating. And that made a huge difference for me. That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So breaking down that, like that stereotype that if you want to be fit and in the gym, that you have to eat boring, healthy
Yeah.
meals, which are like dry chicken breast and vegetables,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and you
Exactly.
can't have regular potatoes and things like that.
Exactly.
Which couldn't be farther from the truth. And it's awesome that we found foods that you enjoy, that we've
Hmm.
actually upgraded the way you eat to where you enjoy it more, you feel healthier,
Yeah.
and it's getting the job done for your goals. So we
Yeah.
know that you just continue on this path, you're going to be even stronger and even better shape. And it's
Yeah.
does it like it's always like when as a coach, I love seeing this, but doesn't it blow your mind when you think like, wow, I've been trying this for so long, like you said, a year of consistent workouts, didn't get anywhere, and then now in 7 weeks you're like, cool, it all makes sense now.
Exactly. But yeah, it's for me. It is surprising for me because I never expected that I would be able to be on the level that I am right now in such a short time. And I 100% know it's because you were guiding me in the right directions. And before I was like blind, I had no idea what I was doing. It was like, okay, just lift weight and see if it works, and it does. So you need some. I needed some guidance, and you were more than welcome guidance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Things that I love, the accountability message, accountability calls. These are also things that help keep me on track. Whenever it's like, well, I don't know how I'm going to do the workout this weekend because I have this, and this going on. I would talk to you, Jordan, help me plan this, and you would help me plan it ahead. So all these things help me keep myself on track. So it
Yeah.
makes a huge difference when you have proper guidance. Yes.
Yeah. And so I guess to kind of finish out, like if someone's watching our conversation right now and they're, feel like they're maybe you before you joined the program and start working with me, they're like, man, maybe I need that proper guidance. What would you tell them if they're on the fence?
I will tell them that I was really skeptical going in. I was like, I don't know, being fitness is not for me. I'm not this kind of person. And I was I had personal trainers before, And personal trainers for me is like, you go to the gym, they see what you're doing, they tell what you're doing, then they leave it, they don't care about you. And it's definitely different with you. Like, you're texting us every day, you're following what we eat, you're following our workouts, and you're more focused on our lifestyle, not just that 30 minutes workout. That was actually the smallest part of all of our conversations about how did I do lifting weight. It was about the food, about being healthy, about resting, about how my body felt after an exercise, but not the exercise itself. And I think that is the huge difference. That I think I said this to you once, like, it's not like you're a personal trainer, you're actually a coach. And that's like a huge difference. And that's what I think made a difference for me.
Yeah, it's the instead of majoring on the minor, which I think hiring a personal trainer is like that. Of course, everyone's got to learn how to navigate certain workouts, things like that. But once you know it, you know it. And for like the grand strategy of things really comes into play when you want to achieve a real result, like losing body fat, building muscle, like you did. So yeah, that's great advice. And thank you, Vicente, for being willing to share your testimony and inspire others. As well as, I know you dropped a lot of knowledge bombs that maybe will blow a lot of people's minds, because if they have that same viewpoint about fitness that you had beforehand, it's completely different, the reality, right? And it's like what the diet industry tries to sell people and what the reality is, it's a completely different thing. So yeah, thank you, Vicente.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Cool.
Thanks, Jordan.
Welcome, man.